welcome back, everybody. So I'm going to do a side-by-side of batch 12 and batch 13 for the 2022 year. This is the first tasting on both of them. So I just finished up the real reviews, the standard review for each one, and I just wanted to put them together and just smell them, taste them next to each other. I like doing stuff like this. So, batch 12 of 2023. So, both of these, Tree House put a short out, Tree House Brewing put a short out, gave us some guidelines of what they would do in an IPA recipe. And so, I took that, made small batches, used different hops. I think this is like number 5 and number 6 batches, different batches that I made this year using different hops. I actually yesterday made 2 more batches using a different yeast, so we'll see how that turns out. So the one on my left is batch 12. The one on my right is batch 13. So batch 12 ended up at 7.49% ABV. Then batch 13, I think it's 712. Yeah, 7.12% ABV. So batch, I keep on moving these papers all over the place. Batch 12 used Warrior for bittering, then Azaka, Citra, and Cairo Simcoe hops. Batch 13 used Warrior for bittering, same thing. Amarillo, Azaka, and Cairo Simcoe hops. So I changed out the Amarillo for Citra. That's the only difference. So ABVs are a little different, but does that really matter? I mean, if we were judging, yes. But as far as I'm concerned, I had a little bit more liquid in batch 13 over that 1.25 gallons. I could have boiled longer. I didn't. It is what it is. Omega 005 yeast is what was used in both of these. The yeast came from the same packet. I brewed these on 10, both of them on 10-1. I bottled them on 10, or no, I brewed them the same day. I bottled both of them on 10-1, and today is 14 days later, 10-15 is when I'm doing this. Now, I have to say, so batch 13 is the newest, I guess you could say, because I did batch 12 review before 13. And just looking at this, the head is better on batch 13 as of now. Now, if it sits another 10 minutes, is it going to go down? It could. For color, I've got almost all of 12 drank. But as of color, they're very close. I want to say in 13, and I'll show you guys, when I was doing the review for 13, I said batch 12 was hazier. It's not. At least at this point, I've drank more. I mean, a little bit more, but they're exactly the same. Haziness, I would say light to medium, closer to medium, then color, same exact color. Which is kind of weird, but I mean, let's say they're 0.5% off each other. So that means technically batch 13 would have more sugar, but that had a lower post-boil gravity. So technically you can't say that because it was lower, but the ABV is lower. So maybe you could say there's a little bit more sugar in there that didn't attenuate, but they're the same color. For the smell, it's very similar. I think 12, I get more of that garlic onion tropical. I think it's changed. I want to say peach. I said peach skin in 12. I don't know if I would. I would probably say meaty peach now. Um, I think 12 has. a little bit more smell, sweeter smell. It stands out a little bit more, and I don't know why. And I'm not getting a lot of citrus out of each one of them coming from, I would have thought batch 12 would have had a little bit more citrus using the Citra. It's a toss up. I, I don't think I could pick. They both smell sweet, about the same sweetness, and I would rather have more bitterness. But at least for this, it's close. Um, I think, what was it? The I can't remember. Now I'm gonna have to look it up because the Amarillo had something different. I thought in it, and I was like, oh, that's what it is. Um, no, yeah. So technically, I switched out a citrus hop for a switch citrus hop, and maybe that sweetness. Now that I'm looking at this, hmm, no, because this says very sweet citrus, and it's batch 12 in the taste, and we're gonna taste them. But that I thought was like a Smartie, like that sweetness from a Smartie. But yeah, smell, they're the same. Let's go ahead and taste. Yeah, a big, sweet, berry, tropical fruit. Like big sweetness. But on the back end of 13, I get, now that it's warmed up a little bit, a sweeter orange rind. Like there's that bitterness is there. There's more bitterness, perceived bitterness coming out of batch 13 than there is in batch 12. Uh, Citra was 12.8 alpha acids. Then the Amarillo was only 8. So it should be the opposite. Huh. Pre- I get some berry. I get tropical fruit. Really, the only difference is, I believe, is the sweetness versus bitterness in these two. I think batch 12 is a little bit more sweet. It has more of that sweet tart taste, where batch 13, the perceived bitterness, or maybe it's the Amarillo bringing that orange rind to the back end that helps cut that sweetness. I would rather have a bitter beer, or what I would call this as a New England IPA. I would rather have my New England IPA a little bit more bitter, and I think 13 does that. Just with that cutting. Now, maybe you would, maybe if you doubled the Citra in the dry hopping, it would bring a little bit more bitterness, or perceived bitterness, I should say. Because if you want to add more bitterness, up the Warrior to 0.15 ounces or zero point 0.2 ounces, and that should do it, I would think. Uh, but if you're just dealing with hops, I think I would keep the boil the same and play around with the amount of dry hop and just see, because coming from this, the Citra should have, the batch 12 with the Citra, and I didn't write it on here, should be a higher IBU than what batch 13 is, because we're going from 12.8, what I say, to 7 or 8.1. So the other hops are the same. So that's the only change. And yeah, the perceived bitterness on 13 is higher. But other than that, I can't really tell these things apart at all. Yeah. Batch 12 is just sweeter. So, hey, this was a good experience. If I had to pick, 13 all day. Just because of the bitterness. Somebody that likes a sweeter New England IPA is going to go with 12 all day long. But yeah, this was fun. So if you've done something like this, or if you have 3 hops that I should use in the next Tree House brew, put them down below. If you enjoyed this review, check some more out over here. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, cheers.